The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Mangan, and I'm joined by Star Sport editor, Kieran McCarthy, as always. Now, the Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose credit union, choose local, choose community. Now, on this week's podcast, we welcome former Castlehaven manager James McCarthy, who stepped away from his role with the club after 4 years at the helm, and he's joining us to chat about his time in charge, their run to the All-Ireland semi-finals, and a whole lot more. And if that wasn't enough, he also brought Castlehaven captain Mark Collins along as well. So that's one to look forward to in just a few minutes. But before we get to that, Kieran, let's chat a little bit about Cork's win over Fermanagh at the weekend. Back on track or still a long way to go?
Back on track, but just back on track. And we can't look too far ahead here. So there's no underestimating the importance of Cork's win away to Fermanagh last weekend. It was a must-win game. And in fairness to the Cork footballers, they took out of results this time. Maurice Shanley got that late goal that I christened the hand of Clan. I want to copyright that one. A great picture too to go with it. So Maurice Shanley, the Clan defender, got his hand to a Ruideen pass and panned it to the net late on to secure or to clinch or snatch a 1 point win for the Cork footballers. So what this means, it gives Cork a fighting chance of staying up in Division 2. So we've 3 games left, and the next game up is Cork are home to Kildare at Super Value Park Queeve on Sunday at 3:30. And this is another must-win game for Cork. And this is a game that you would expect Cork to win because Kildare are just in the depths of despair at the moment. Like, they're bottom of the table, no points, no wins. Just it's been a bad campaign for Kildare. So this is a game that Cork should win, need to win. And realistically, they have to win. And that would leave Cork then on 4 points ahead of games against Meath and Armagh. So just to go back to your original point, yeah, huge win against Fermanagh last weekend, because it just gives Cork a lot to play for in the weeks ahead. And it could also hopefully dampen talk of the Tailteann Cup, which is always in the background now. That's the second tier All-Ireland football championship. And if Cork flop in the league and get relegated, there's a good chance that they could be in the Tailteann Cup. But if Cork can stay in Division 2, finish anywhere around mid-table, looks like they will be in the Sam Maguire competition. So we're kind of juggling a lot of different permutations at the moment, but Fermanagh win was a big moment, and hopefully it's a turning point.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this week's Southern Star, John Cleary says that he wants back-to-back Division 2 league wins to build momentum, obviously, with this weekend against Kildare. But will the manner of the victory against Fermanagh, like, a last minute goal to win the game, will that in itself kind of help build momentum? Just by the fact it was kind of a late win.
It should be a huge confidence boost to the lads, because it's a result that they badly needed. John Cleary's been pointing at the previous few games. Okay, Cork were outplayed away against Donegal in their opener and deserved to lose that game, and Cork lost that game quite heavily. But then he's pointing at the Louth and Cavan games where he's talking about fine margins, and I suppose Lady Luck not shining on Cork. And yes, there was fine margins in those games. They were narrow defeats, and Cork could just as easily be here with 6 points right now after 4 games. But the reality is they're not. Cork have 2 points after 4 games and are still in the relegation zone and still need results to avoid relegation to Division 3. But they can take a lot from that game against Fermanagh, because for any team to travel up the north, come away with a result, that's a good day's work, because it's factor in all the travel involved, factor in it's an Ulster team, factor in it's a Fermanagh team that have been doing quite well in fairness to them since they've come up to Division 2. So there's a lot of positives Cork can take from that. But that win shouldn't paper over some of the cracks that are still in this team. Like it was far from perfect. Fermanagh had a goal chance in the opening minutes, and Chris Kelly in goal made a great save. And if that goal had gone in at a time when Fermanagh were on top, could have put Cork maybe 4, 5, 6 points down at one stage of the first half, potentially. So there's still a lot for Cork to work on, kickouts and so on. But it's a step in the right direction. What we want to see now on Sunday is another step in that direction.
Yeah, we'll be keeping a close eye on Super Value Park Equive on Sunday at 3:30, like you're saying. Now, I don't want to keep people waiting too long for this interview, Kieran, because it's a really good one with James McCarthy and Mark Collins. But just before we get to them, James McCarthy, he said my job is done for now when he called time on his Castlehaven managerial reign. And it probably was a great time to quit, because they say to quit while you're ahead. And obviously Castlehaven won the Premier Senior Football Championship and the Munster Senior Club title as well for 2023. So could you just maybe sum up his time in charge of Castlehaven and we can get into the chat then?
So James McCarthy is doing an Eric Cantona. He's bowing out while on top with his collar up. So James has been in charge of Castlehaven for the last 4 years, and he leaves them in such a good place. They're county champions for the first time since 2012, Munster champions for the first time since 1997, and Haven lost at All-Ireland Club semi-final to St. Brigid's back on the 7th of January. So Seanie Cahalane is a new man in charge. He's having his first game at the helm. Actually, this Saturday they're home to Douglas in the county league, and Seanie's he's inheriting a county winning panel. That's what James McCarthy and his management team have built over the last couple of years. So James has been an incredible servant to Castlehaven. It's like when the bat signal goes up every couple of years, James Mack is going to come back in and take over Castlehaven. So he stepped aside now, but don't be surprised down the line, whether it's 4, 5, 6 years, if we see James McCarthy back in the hot seat again. So when I got on to him for this interview, I billed it as the exit interview. I said, we have to have a chat. We can't let you go out the back door, given that you've taken Castlehaven to the Cork title and the Munster title. But he was trying to be modest, and he said he needed backup. So that's why he drafted in Mark Collins, Castlehaven captain, to join him on the chat. So it was a good crack with the lads. Just to look back on Castlehaven's great year, even to find out some nuggets, like why Castlehaven don't go outside the parish to appoint a manager, why they always appoint from within. Also just about the community aspect in Castlehaven and what makes that so special, and also about Seanie Cahalane coming in as the new manager, and any advice that they can give for him. And also Mark Collins, you'll hear quite soon, is chatting to him about his own aspirations of in coaching and management. He's a selector with the Haven Juniors this year coming up. But I started by asking James Mack what happened on the holiday in Tenerife, because before they went on their team holiday a couple of weeks back, he was in two minds about staying on as Haven manager. But as soon as he came back, I got a text, he was gone. So I needed to find out what happened over in Tenerife. First question to you, James. What happened in the team holiday in Tenerife? I was chatting to you just beforehand, and you were unsure whether you were staying on or not, and you wouldn't give me a definitive answer. Yet you came back and you said you were exiting stage left. So what happened in Tenerife that made you decide, you know what, I'm gonna call it a day here?
I met Conor Glass. I'm going up there next year, so he persuaded me to go up the north. So I think I said, look, I took the bait. Myself and Mickey Hart are working together. So no, I made my mind up a good spell ago, but a lot of toing and froing with the club and the players, and they gave me the space to think about it. But look, to be fair to Seanie, I knew he was there ready to go, and I didn't leave him in the lurch, or Seanie didn't leave anyone in the lurch, but he was ready to go. So I was talking to Seanie in the meantime, so it wasn't a knee-jerk reaction at all. This has been planned in the background for a spell, but we were just, Seanie was getting his team together, and we waited until the holiday was over. We had a good time out there.
Mark, had the players an inkling that James was thinking of stepping aside?
I suppose we did, Kieran, like, we'd experienced working with James before, and usually James's kind of way was 2 years and that was it. And like we pleaded with him going back a couple of years ago that he might stay on for another year. And thankfully we got another couple of years out of him and we managed to get over the line. But I think kind of after the Brigid's game, we probably knew that it was probably James was going to step away. Obviously, we would have loved to have kept him, but I don't think anyone put him under any pressure this time. He had done what he had set out to do, and obviously it's disappointing. But like Seanie is a great man to step in there for.
And you mentioned that, James, Seanie Cahalane, he's been announced as the Castlehaven manager. He's in the hot seat now. But before we have a chat about Seanie, why do Castlehaven always appoint from within? Like it's a proud record that you have in that sense, that the man in the hot seat is a Castlehaven man. Is it just something that's done in Castlehaven?
Yeah, I suppose it's kind of an unwritten rule. I suppose we take pride in it. I'd say we're very proud of our record in that situation, and I suppose it brings success for us as well. And maybe if we didn't, I suppose we'd be looking outside. But if we go back in our history books, we're there and thereabouts most of the time, and I don't think, I think there's a bit of prestige with it as well, and I don't think there's a queue every year to take it over, but we have a good underage setup, and we're always looking to progress coaches up along the line. And again, it's not about the man, okay, you have to have a front man, but if we're having a good team with you, you can have Mick O'Dwyer and Mickey Hart and the whole lot there. But if you're having a good team of players and a backroom team and mentors, you're going nowhere. So it's all about the buy-in, and I know Seanie's going to get the buy-in now from these boys as well.
Just on that for a second, James, you mentioned a team effort. I think I was on too before Christmas, before one of the games, just asking for a look at who's involved in the backroom team. And the message you sent me back, I was almost my mouth open. I said, Jesus, this is a huge parish effort here. It was incredible the amount of people that are involved in behind the scenes. But it really is a parish effort. Like you said, okay, there is a front man, but it's like the whole parish puts together.
Yeah, from the ladies that are there every night making the grub for us, and down to the kit men, down to the who cuts the pitch. It goes down to the under-6 coach. We're all in it together, and you see after winning a match there, and especially I would think I saw it more when we were beaten. The reaction on the pitch afterwards was outstanding. Even though I didn't want to meet anyone, or Mark outside didn't want to meet anyone, there was more Castlehaven people on the pitch after Brigid's beat us than Brigid's themselves. And that's a great sign of a parish, in support. And, look, they're not at every league game, or they're not, we didn't have that support maybe at the first championship game, but they're always there. And they're, the financial support that goes behind the club is unreal as well. There's private donors there that they never want their name out in public, but, they're always there if you're stuck for, if you're found to do this or do the other thing. And we were never refused anything by the club, but that don't know, the club, is a parish and a parish beyond, in parts of America and England and all parts of Ireland. They support us, but it is, it all comes back to where you came from, and they put a bit of pride in that. And yes, there's a bit of pressure, and then with the prestige, I said, well, go being the manager, there is a bit of pressure in, because they do demand the results, and if you are in a losing streak, it don't go down well. But that means then that you have to be up to the mark and try hard, and that's where all the backroom team and everything, they do buy into it, and they all have a part to play. And there's no egos. It took about 4 years to put all them together, though. Some clubs make a mistake. They might copy us in the morning, or we copy someone else. Don't copy anyone. Do your own thing, and what works for you works for you. And some things didn't work for us, and we stopped doing it. And maybe we got in people. You can get in loads of people, but they have to be the right people as well. And we were lucky enough in the last couple of years that we got great people around us.
Mark, obviously Seanie Cahalane is coming in as manager now, but just have a look back at James's reign, like we said, over 4 years, and it was building every year, and it reached its climax last season. County champions for the first time in 10 years, Munster champions for the first time, I think, since, was it 97? Could you see yourself over the 4 years that you were building towards something special?
Yeah, I suppose, Kieran, like James came in 4 years ago, and we were probably at a bit of a low ebb. We had lost our two championship matches the previous year, and there was probably a lot of young lads had just come on the panel, and like there was a few of us who had been around since 12 and 13, and there might have been a big separation between the two of them, between the two kind of sides of the panel. And I think James did an unbelievable job at like knitting us together. COVID was probably the start of that, really. If you look at it, that was the start of our journey, and we did a lot together as a group, and even online and meetings and stuff. It was brilliant, and it got us through COVID probably, and I think it built us as a group. And gradually, as the couple of years went on, then I felt we got stronger and stronger, and maybe we even gained a couple of more young lads as the years went on. Look, probably at the end of 2022, I would have said that we'd probably maybe fallen a bit further behind. Like I thought we were comprehensively beaten by the Bars, but look, as the year went on last year, we got stronger, and it was absolutely fantastic to get over the line. It was a journey over 4 years, and it was brilliant to succeed at the end of it.
And as well, Mark, as well as that, you've had a great relationship with James over the years. I think you told me before, did James give you your senior debut or your under 21 debut way back when? So you've worked with him an awful lot in his time as various roles at Castlehaven. What marks him out as such a standout manager?
Yeah, I think I touched on it in the last question, Kieran. Like, I think he's as good a manager as I've ever seen at getting a group together. Like there's a real bond in every group James is involved in, and like no matter what he does, he gets the best out of fellas. I think his training sessions are always, there's always a good buzz and a good intensity to them. He just gets the best out of us, and we were very lucky to have him involved for so long. Like.
So what are you going to do now, James, to fill your time? Have you Netflix series lined up? Are you going to take up golf? Where are we going to see you turn up next?
Neither or both, I'd say.
I'd say you go golf, I'd say here.
I'd say a hurler on the ditch, I'd say. I'd be looking for the golf balls, I'd say, be my job. No, there'll be plenty to do. I like going to games. I like watching games. I like other clubs playing. I like seeing other teams play, and no pressure on, and looking back at what they do. And I enjoy doing that. And look, underager here in Castlehaven, I won't be with a team, but I'll be helping out in any way I can. But just in case we stop here, just going back and Mark there, I don't want to be talking about me all the night there. I think we kind of 2 years ago, I think it was, maybe if I was watching to pull plug, but I think the decision of Mark and Michael, and there was no pressure put on them either, to pull back from Cork, I think had a big bearing on where we ended up today. Like, I don't think it would have happened if they were with Cork. And that's no disrespect to Cork, but I think they sacrificed definitely more years with Cork for this victory with the Haven. And if it didn't work out, I still think they were the main behind it, and that brought on the other players in, because I see clubs there, they find it very hard to integrate players during the league when their county players are missing. When results ain't going their way, bring in young lads. We found that easier in the last 2 years, because you're going and playing beside Mark and Michael there, and other players made sacrifices as well. I know that, Ron Walsh moved back from Dublin, and things like that all help. Like, so you see those behind the scenes, but that was a big part to play in, I think, in us winning what we did in the last 12 months.
Like, you've achieved a hell of a lot with Castlehaven, James. So where does last season rank for you? I remember talking to you after a couple of the games, the big games, and you could see the emotion, like you were emotional after games. You could see how much it meant to you. So you poured so much into last season and you achieved so much. So what you did achieve, where does that rank for you?
For me personally, I wouldn't even be thinking about it. It's about the parish again and the group of players. Every team you go with or a group of players are different, and I was a lot of the lads I was dealing with here didn't have county medals, and maybe I put myself under a bit of pressure. I wanted them to get the medal before. I was blaming myself maybe a couple of years there that they didn't get over the line, and you really question yourself sometimes in long winter nights. Are we doing things right, or what are we doing wrong? And look, we done a lot of things wrong again this year, but we had a bit of luck maybe. But I think you're building your luck. But look, I think maybe that minute, and we spoke about this over the last few years, especially trying to get the young lads to buy into it, to really give it 110. That, you know, that feeling when you do get that county final win, there is no better feeling. Like, even lads that play with Cork there, they can't explain it. Like, I can't explain it, but in years to come, you know what it's all about. But at that moment, you'd love to freeze the time and go around and meet everyone. But it's just an unbelievable feeling, and maybe Mark will elaborate on it there as a player, but as a manager or as a mentor and as a supporter, it was very emotional that day against Nemo. I think just because of the 4 years, and everybody had journeys to get there, and we met supporters then that had lost people over the 4 years and the COVID and everything. And I'd say we're no different to any other club, but maybe we're just a bit tighter. And when you met people and they had someone lost over the last 4 years and they couldn't make the game, and that brought it out in us, and it was for them more than for us, like I thought anyway. And we kind of we acknowledged that the following day as well, but that's another story.
Just on that, Mark, the support that you get from the parish and the community, it's second to none. It's incredible. Can the players feel that on the pitch? I'm even thinking back to the Brigid's game. It was the second half. You could hear the chant of Haven coming from the stand side, kind of just to get you going and to urge you on. Like, can you feel that it's a real community effort in Castlehaven?
100%, Kieran. Like, I think that's one thing I really took from this county winning side, like is just the joy and the happiness it brought to other people. People who had no involvement with the team, no family member in the team. Like, when you met them after the county final, after the Munster final, like, the happiness and joy it brought to people was unbelievable. And I think you really can feel that, and the support we got, like, even financially. I think James touched on it earlier, but like the cost of the couple of games in the Munster Championship, I think we had 3 away trips, which we stayed overnight for all 3, and like the support we got from the club and from people donating to the club was unbelievable, and it helped us get over the line in the Munster Championship.
So the new man in charge, Mark, Seanie Cahalane, your former teammate, he won a couple of counties together back in 2012 to 2013, a fella you know well. How much you're looking forward to I suppose, Seanie probably bringing fresh ideas? I know there's continuity in terms of selectors in Gavin Gallagher and so on, but it's probably exciting too to have a new manager in there.
Yeah, like Seanie is someone who'd be unbelievably respectable in the group. He was a 2-time winning captain with Castlehaven, and like he's a guy who's liked by everyone. But at the same time, like he's well able to be in charge and have control over us. So I think it's an excellent appointment, and really looking forward to working with him. As you said, it'll bring a fresh voice to things as well, and we're getting the league started now on Saturday, and looking forward to getting going.
I remember a couple of years ago, James, I got on to you. You were still on as manager, and I wanted to have a chat with you. And you pointed to me towards you're bringing Seanie Cahalane on as a selector, and you wanted to keep freshening up the management team. And you obviously went and you got Seanie. What is it about Seanie that you wanted to bring into the management team, and why do you think he'd make a good manager?
Well, I suppose I dealt with Seanie down through the years. He was captain in 12 and 13. And I was there in 12, and we soldiered together many years as player and mentor. But just as Mark said there, number one is very likable fella. Now, you can be very likable and know nothing about football, but this fella knows his football, and he knows all the players. He knows how to deal with players. Very good relationship with players. He'll cut the mustard as well if you have to crack the whip. No problem there. But yeah, it'll be brilliant this year because he ain't come in. He's starting running because his backroom team are there and his selectors are with him. We've been building to this, I suppose. Thanks be to God, we're going out in a winning streak. But a lot of clubs, and it happened in Castlehaven a few times. We all go and block, and there's a big hole left there. Then, and the club is trying to persuade people to come in, and maybe the job is too big then. Well, you know, I don't. Sean is an unbelievable organizer as well, and it's the setup he'll have around him again, and the support of the players. You know, the players, if they buy in, you know, they'll be hard to beat again, and he'll have all our support. And you know, I'll be the critic outside the wire now, but I'll be there to support him all the way. Like,
James, is there a chance that the other fella on this Zoom call could be a future Castlehaven manager? Because what I saw when the press release came out last weekend about the senior team, in the junior team as a selector, Mark Collins is there. And I know you've been involved with the UCC Freshers team as well, Mark. So is it something down the line, kind of the coaching side, the managing side, that that obviously you're not hanging up your playing boots for a while, but is it something that you're interested in?
I suppose, Kieran, I love football in general. You know, since I was a small child, it was something I was always obsessed with. I love watching matches, going to matches. You know, I just love being involved with teams as well. So I'd say down the line, maybe a good bit down the line, I'd love to be involved with the Castlehaven seniors, but hopefully it might not be for another one.
What do you think, James? Do you think Mark has what it takes down the line?
Oh, definitely, yeah. But look, we won't be retiring now till 40 plus. Like, that's what we do with all anyone out here. Like, so, but saying that, yeah, look, we're in the club now. We're building a good group of coaches, mentors, whatever you want to call them. You know, ex-players, and you know, sometimes if you put them in too early, they get a burden, and you know, we won't be putting any pressure on them, and hopefully Sean will be there for the next couple of years and be very successful. But look, there's a lot of leaders in that team and lads that have retired that hopefully that will get involved down the line again. And you know, we do talk about these things, and maybe that's where other clubs could. I'd be looking at what other successful clubs do as well, and continuity is one of the big things. And but the fresh voice is the main thing. And again, working with your junior team there worked very successfully last year with us. They had a great run. And when you're dealing with a big number of players, they all want to play senior, but it has to be competitive. And if you want to go to the next level, and I think that's what helped us this year, we had 4 or 5 fellas maybe further up the ladder than there were a couple of years ago. And that was down to the junior, and Mark was involved there, and Vivian Callan and Dan Sullivan. So that's the club thing again, and it's all aimed for the senior. And you know, we have a good minor setup coming now again. And I was below the other night, and there was 10 mentors around the pitch with them doing different things, and it was a joy to watch. And I would think there'd be a couple of them in them that'd be future senior management as well. You know, and I'd be sitting above the stand, even though I'd bark at them, but hopefully they won't be coming back to me in the not too distant future. In there.
Mark, like James said, there's a lot of football left in you yet. If you have to reach 40, what's that? You have another 7 years left of senior football. But Haven are back in County League action on Saturday, home to Douglas, Shawnee's first game in charge. But January 7th was when last All Ireland club semi-final, St. Brigid. So we're less than 2 months on, and you're starting the new campaign. How much are you looking forward just to lace up the boots and getting back in the pitch again?
Sure. Look, here, I said to you earlier offline, like we probably haven't an awful lot done. We've taken a nice break and we enjoyed ourselves. You know, we had a good holiday and stuff together. But like we've been back training now about a week and a half, and like the buzz is still there, and there's great crack around the place. So come Saturday, we're looking forward to getting going, and you know, it starts all over again. And it's great to be getting back at it, to be honest with you.
Would you park the Brigid's game, Mark, or have you looked back at it since, or what's your thoughts on that game?
We only watched it about a week ago, I'd say. It was the first time I'd watched it since it was something I said after it. It was something I said, geez, I'll never watch that again. But, you know, I think there's a lot to take out of it. And, like, I think afterwards, like, looking at Brigid's in the Ireland final, like, they were an excellent team. Like, you know, we probably after the game that day, I think I spoke to you and I said I thought we left ourselves down a bit, but you know, I think they started on fire against us that day, and you know, they probably took that into the final. But look, you know, there's probably a few regrets from it, but there's a lot of learnings from it, and hopefully that might help us this year again.
And finally to you, James, there's a little matter of a social on Saturday night. Is this one last big party to sign off the dream season?
Oh yeah, to get together again. That's the big thing about us. We train hard, we play hard, and we party hard as well, and we enjoy ourselves after winnings. And Padraig Burke gave me advice years ago. He said, always celebrate your wins because they're, could be the last one. But we really, over the 4 years, we had some great trips away. I'd say one of our best days we ever had out was the day after Nemo beat us. We all came together in Castlehaven, and to summertime that time after in the county final, we had a great day out, and it bonded us again. And we went out 5 days later, and beat Newstown in the championship. I look back at those days more than maybe after the county final and the big days, because the crowds are so big. But when you're in the group with the players and the mentors, it's very enjoyable. I suppose that's one of the things I'd miss, but I can still go for the point with them, I suppose. But no, I think that's a big part to play in football and sport. You have to enjoy it, and if you don't, if you're just saying you can't go out and have a pint, and I think we got the mix right over the last couple of years. We done things wrong, but I think that's one of the things we do usually get right.
Enjoyed a couple of points Saturday night, lads. Well deserved, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, million, Kieran.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, lads.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Welcome back to the Star Sport podcast, and it's my favourite time of the week because I get to ask you, Kieran, what's in this week's Southern Star.
So the listeners to this podcast, if you haven't bought the Star already, get out now and pick up this week's Star, because it is crammed. Like I said on Twitter, it is packed to the rafters. So we have a lovely tribute to Paddy Palmer. The first commemorative match in his honour was held last weekend between Valley Rovers and Timpolo, and Tom Lyons went along for the day, and he chatted to some of the people who knew Paddy the best. So that's a really nice piece. And even the headline says it all. Paddy was everything to everybody. So that's well worth checking out. We also have an interview with Ciara O'Sullivan. She's a Newcestown Camogie player who injured her cruciate last year playing in the Ashburn Cup with UCC. And Ciara had started the 2021 and 2022 All-Ireland senior Camogie finals with Cork, but then faced 12 months out. So just chatting to her about the injury, her comeback, her rehab, and she's back now playing with the Cork Intermediates, and what her plan for the year ahead is. Also, Bantry teenager Dylan Hicks made his debut with the Munster senior rugby team last week, so we have a piece on that. The O'Donovan Rossa ladies painted Skibbereen red on Saturday night with their victory social, and we've a page of pictures from that event. We've the first interview with the new Castlehaven senior football manager, Seanie Cahalane. John Hayes' column this week is another cracker. He's looking back on Cork's win against Fermanagh, while also giving us some great anecdotes from his time in the Cork senior football team and what it was like going away on those long away trips. And there was a great reveal in there, Dylan, where he said Nicholas Murphy, we'll all know him as the Cork midfielder, used to get very bad travel sickness, so he used to drive by car to all the away games. So they're great little nuggets of information like that. We also have on the Bantry under 21s and their recent success. I'm just looking down through here. There's just so much in it. Alex O'Shea, the marathon man from Ballineen, won an ultra marathon in Sweden. That's well worth checking out. And also with the launch of the West Cork Rally last weekend, Martin Walsh was there for us. And also news that Keith Cronin is doing the British Rally Championship as well as the Irish Tarmac Rally Championship this year. And that's just a taster. It's packed to the rafters, like I said.
Packed as always. And elsewhere in this week's Southern Star, which is out now, as Kieran said, we have a 28-page spring wedding supplement. So if anyone is preparing for a wedding or thinking of getting married soon, that would be a great one to pick up. And we're also in the main section of the newspaper, we're celebrating 200 years of the RNLI. And we have the latest from the farmers' protest as they went up to Cork Airport during the week as well. So plenty there to pick up. That is in shops now or online. As always, you can subscribe to the Southern Star and get it on your laptop, tablet, or phone. Just head to subscribe.southernstar.ie, enter your details, and you'll get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2 per week. As always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast. And thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get yours. And we'll be back again next week. Thanks for listening.